Hi guys, welcome back to the Home and Homestead. If you're new to the channel, my name is Rebecca, and today we'll be doing some gardening. In particular, we'll be planting some potatoes in a couple of our raised beds using the companion planting method, as well as in a galvanized tub for container planting. I'll be using both seed potatoes and store-bought potatoes to test out the difference between a seed potato and a store-bought potato that creates some nice eyes for new growth of potatoes. So follow along while we get some potatoes planted in our raised beds and container planter. So first we have our raised beds here, and the far left one, the middle one, those are the two that I'll be planting some seed potatoes. On the far right bed, I planted some garlic. And if you watch the fall planting of garlic video, you can see how I did that method. I did leave a few garlic plants in both of these beds here where I will be planting the potatoes, and they will work for companion planting for our seed potatoes because the garlic will help to deter bugs and other such pests from getting into our potatoes. So first, on the far left raised bed, I'll be planting some yellow seed potatoes. So you can either lead the seed potatoes whole, or you can cut each of the sections that have eyes in them. So here I have some Yukon Gold seed potatoes, and they have some nice eyes here. I could leave this whole, or I could cut it in half and create two seed potatoes. I have plenty for this particular bed, so I'm actually going to leave them whole in this bed. And for the red seed potatoes, I'll leave some whole and cut smaller portions, so you can see, hopefully later in the year when I harvest my potatoes, if there was any difference in how they grew. So in this bed, I used my battery-operated cultivator, and I loosened up the soil real nice in this bed, and I made 2 trenches about 4 to 6 inches deep. Then what you want to do is lay out your potatoes. We'll bury them in here, cover it with the soil, and then I'll put a nice thick layer of straw on top. So these larger potatoes, I'll make the hole a little bit deeper, and I have some that are a little smaller, and those should be fine at this depth. So let me get these into the ground, and then we'll move on to the next bed. So in these 2 trenches then, I have laid out the potatoes, and I have them about 6 inches deep into the soil, and I'll put a nice thick layer of straw over the top. So I just have these last 2 seed potatoes to put in the ground. You just cover them up. You just have it so that the eyes are facing upward. There we go. So we have this first bed with our yellow seed potatoes all planted. We have 2 trenches, and I put 2 really small ones in the middle there. Now we can move on to the second bed where we'll do some red seed potatoes. And for this bed, again, I used my little battery-operated cultivator and loosened up the soil real nicely. And we have some garlic plants around the outside. And here I have some whole seed potatoes. But there's a number of eyes here, so what I can do is cut those between the eyes. Now we have 2 seed potatoes created from that. You can also leave these seed potatoes out once you cut them in half and make portions to cure. And that makes a nice, dry, hard edge on the side of the potato to help prevent potato rot. This one in half, but you can certainly cut them in half and just get them into the ground. You can also leave them whole. These are kind of small. These can stay whole, or if you wanted, you can cut them in half. So I have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's make this one into 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I'll place these off to the side. Each of those seed potatoes have at least one nice eye growth to them. You want to go at least 6 inches deep if you can. If you're doing it the way I am in raised beds, and then put a nice thick layer of straw on top. So then you place the seed potato at the base and cover it with some soil. And I just space them about 4 to 6 inches apart. And just move on down the line. Alright, so we have our red seed potatoes all planted here. I'll give these a nice watering and cover them with a thick layer of straw. So let's head over to our container planter and see how we plant potatoes in there. So here I have a large galvanized tub, and at the base of the tub, about 3 inches deep, I have some pea gravel to help with drainage, and then I filled the tub with some nice potting soil. So now what we're going to do is add some store-bought potatoes that I allowed to grow some nice eyes, and we'll see how they grow in the container. So some of these red potatoes are whole with some nice size eyes on there, and some of them I've cut in half and allowed to cure. So now let's get these into the ground. So we'll kind of lay out spacing. It's kind of a lot for this container, but we'll see what grows. This is kind of an experiment using store-bought to see how they compare with the true seed potatoes. So nice and deep. And again, I'll cover this with some straw. Not them completely buried. And as these potatoes all grow, as the sprouts pop up above the surface, I can cover them with some more straw to help keep them covered. There we go. Right, so let me get all the potatoes a nice watering, and then I'll cover everything with some straw. Alright guys, here we have it. We have our 2 raised beds planted with the yellow seed potatoes, red seed potatoes, and on the far right I have a raised bed with garlic. There's also garlic plants along the perimeter of both of the potato beds, and those will help via the companion planting method for repelling potato bugs and other insects and pests that do not like the scent of the garlic. Now if you notice, I added straw, a nice thick layer on top of the potato beds, and I made it extra thick over the trenches that I created for the 2 rows of the seed potatoes. And then as the potatoes start to sprout and the plant is above that layer, I'll keep adding the straw to help keep those plants covered nicely. If you'd like to check out other videos on companion planting, what plants work well together, you can check out the videos I have on those topics, as well as container planting and raised bed garden planting. Well, if you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate you subscribing. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos I have, remember to give them a thumbs up. I hope you're having a wonderful day. See you next time. Take care.